Big round of applause for Matty. Keep it going for Matty.
I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts, and when I was 10 years old, every kid I knew was playing baseball in the town league. And this was at a time when kids actually played actual games where we kept score, and there were winners and losers, and you had to actually try out for a position. And I really wanted to play second base, but the problem is that my team had a really good second baseman already. And on top of that, I wasn't really that good. I was sort of small, and I wasn't fast or very strong. And I ended up playing right field a lot, which is where you kind of put the duds. And I realized that if I wanted to play second base, that I was going to have to just work really hard and practice my ass off and master the fundamentals of baseball during this summer. And my brother was totally on board with this plan to help me, and he just hit me countless grounders and pop-ups all through the summer. And my father and I played a ton of catch, and he had this rule that if I made a bad throw, I had to chase the ball down. And so it only took like a couple of trips into the thorn bushes or under the porch before I really started focusing on making good, clean throws. And he also had a rule that if he made a bad throw, I still had to chase the ball down. So I was constantly like diving for balls that I thought that I couldn't catch, and I ended up being able to catch them. And if my brother or my dad weren't around, I would play what I call the simulated game, where I would just like bounce the ball off the house for hours at a time, and I would drive my mother insane. So all my free time was basically spent practicing baseball that summer. And this is on top of the regular practices that we had with my team. And I don't know if my coach was unemployed or if he was independently wealthy and just didn't have to work, but this guy was committed to the success of this Little League baseball team. So we practiced more than any other team in the league. And we had a really good team, and as the summer progressed and the season went on, I got better and better, but I was still playing right field most of the time. And we won a lot of games, and at the end of the season, we ended up in the playoffs. And as fate would have it, the starting second baseman had a Disney World family vacation planned, and despite my coach's objections, his parents wouldn't postpone the trip to play in this playoff game. So I got the nod on game day. I got to start at second base, and I was just completely stoked because I was like, this is my chance. I can show how good I am at this position. And as the game started, I was just in the zone. I was playing like crazy smart heads-up baseball, and defensively, I was like a brick wall. Like nothing could get by me. And at the plate, I went 3 for 3, and I knocked in 2 runs, and I put us ahead by 1 going into the final inning, and I was getting a ton of like nice hustles and attaboys from the coach, and everything was going like exactly as I dreamed it would. And as we went into the final inning, what I was hoping for our last time on the field, we were up by 1. So if they didn't score, we win. And my coach decides to make some defensive changes, and he moves some players around, and he puts me in right field again, which I feel is a huge mistake because I'm basically playing the best game that anybody has ever played at second base in my mind. But I'm 10 years old, and he's a grown man, so I got to go to right field. And I go out there, and as we start playing in the inning, we get 2 outs on them, and then they get a kid on second and third. So if they get a base hit, they're probably going to win the game. So it's high drama. And the next batter, it happens. This kid just smokes this towering shot down the right field line to where I'm playing, and I immediately know that this ball's trouble. And so I just start running for it as hard as I can, and I'm just running at a full sprint. And just as I think, like, I'm not going to be able to get there before this ball hits the ground, I just give it a big last-ditch effort, and I just dive, and I'm completely laid out. I'm stretched out in the air, and I'll never forget the sight of that ball landing my glove. And I feel like I am the greatest player that has ever played right now. And I land, and it's just short-lived because when I land really hard kind of on my face first, and then the rest of my body hits, and the ball just trickles out of my glove. And I'm like, oh, I'm devastated. I'm thinking all that hard work this summer, I just lost the game. And I sit there, I lie in there stunned for a second. I reach out and I pick up the ball with my glove, and I slowly get up, and I see, and my team is running out towards me, and I'm like, they're coming to murder me right now. And then I see they're all smiling and celebrating, and the other team is walking off the field dejected, and I realize that nobody saw the ball come out of my glove. And so I don't really know what to do. All of a sudden, everybody's around me, and everybody's going crazy, and they're celebrating, and the coach comes running out and like pushes through this swarm of 10-year-olds, and he grabs me and he yells in my face. He's like, Matt, you are a good second baseman, but you are a great right fielder. And I would like to say that I had the strength of character to hold my head up and say, Coach, I dropped the ball, the other team won, but that did not happen at all. I just let everybody treat me like a hero, and I felt bad, but I didn't know what to do. And then to top it all off, I get awarded the game ball, and I go home, and my dad puts it on the shelf as a reminder that hard work pays off. And I just felt awful about it. And I know a grown person talking about lying about catching a ball when he was 10 doesn't sound like that big a deal, but to me it was huge. And this happened 35 years ago. And I felt so ashamed that I didn't tell my parents, I didn't tell my brother, none of my friends. I never have told my wife about this. I haven't told anybody until right now. So you know, that summer I worked really hard, and it paid off because I did become a much better baseball player. But I always felt like it was a much harder work to live with that little lie all this time. So I like to think that now that I've finally come clean, that I'll be just a little bit better of a person. Thank you.